Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be talking about two storms, and one of which will be impacting the United States within the next few days that could bring the potential for heavy rainfall and even maybe a couple of tornadoes. The second of which will be bringing the potential for a larger storm that will impact much more of the United States with rainfall, potentially some snowfall, and as well as maybe a greater severe weather potential. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, but let's first begin with what's happening across the United States today, and we'll first begin with the southeast, and this is an area that has remained very active for the last really several days. We've had a lot of cloud cover across this region. There is a stationary frontal boundary here, which is actually keeping a lot of cloud cover across areas. The only exclusion would really be Florida, that is not really noticing a whole lot of cloud cover today. Most of it's just sitting off to the north, and all this cloud cover has been leading to some showers and some isolated storms, and it's going to stay very active, by the way. This is not the end of the rainfall and as well as the cloud cover. Going into the work week, it's actually going to get more active, and we're going to talk about more on that here in a few minutes, where there is actually going to be a tornado risk along with that as well. Back over into the northeast, very quiet up there. There's a little bit of cloud cover, but overall it's a pretty nice day up there. A little bit warm actually for this time of the year. Midwest also dealing with a small clipper system that is actually located just north of where I circled. It's back up in really the upper Midwest sort of area, and we do have some rainfall with this, a little bit of snow as well. It's pretty minimal, very light activity, so nothing too concerning there overall. Great Plains for the most part staying dry, not a whole lot of activity there. Back over in the Pacific Northwest, the atmospheric rivers are continuing. We are seeing a lot of rainfall. We've already seen a lot of rainfall, in fact, across Washington and Oregon, where we saw upwards of almost 8 to 10 inches of rain in some spots, so don't rule out there's a little bit more rainfall to come over the next few days, but overall it's becoming a little bit less active as we head further here into the weekend and as well as into the work week. And a friendly reminder, over 80% of you that are watching this forecast are not subscribed. Make sure to hit that rectangular subscribe button down below so you stay up to date with the latest weather forecasts. All right, let's talk more about the weather pattern that'll be impacting the United States over the next several days. And we're going to begin with the temperature anomalies, because this gives us an idea of above average versus below average temperatures. And as of today, it's really overall around average for most of the United States. The only exceptions are very localized areas like South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina, parts of Texas as well in the same boat, and then maybe back over into Montana. But as we go into the work week, things are going to change really quickly, because we're going to be talking about the potential for record-breaking high temperatures as we get closer to Thursday. This is on Wednesday. Notice 15 to 20 degrees above average in some spots across the central and northern plains, the Midwest, and even possibly over near the Rocky Mountains. By the time we get to Thursday, though, we could be talking upwards of 25 degrees Fahrenheit above average in parts of Minnesota, back into the Dakotas as we go into Thursday afternoon, and that could linger into Friday into parts of the Midwest. Now, as we get closer to Saturday and to Sunday of next weekend, pattern change looks more likely than not at this point. We're still about 7 to 8 days out, but I do think we'll get a cold frontal boundary at some point as we get closer to next weekend. All right, let's talk more about the jet stream across the United States, because this is what steers our weather patterns across the United States. And as of today, we do have a small clipper system, again, that is just north here of Wisconsin. This is in the upper levels again, so the jet stream, and that is where that little clipper system resides. High pressure system is actually down just south of Florida. It's gonna be a little bit further south than this, but it's right just south of Florida in the upper levels. And then also we're watching a small little storm that's trying to develop back over just south of the Four Corner states, and that's an important feature in this jet stream that we're gonna have to watch for very closely as we get closer to Tuesday and as well as into Wednesday. So notice as we go into Monday, this is right around midnight or so actually into Monday, so very early Monday morning basically. Jet stream's lifted very far off to the north. Strong jet stream, by the way. Little system back up in Canada, irrelevant to the United States weather, but look at this little closed low here that will be over Arizona and New Mexico. One critical thing that I did not point out in my last forecast about a closed low is closed lows usually do move a lot slower, so this could potentially bring some heavy rainfall that could even lead to some localized flooding as we go into the work week, and I'm going to show you more on that here in just a second. But as we go into Tuesday, notice where this low pressure system is by then, over near Louisiana. By that point, it might not be closed. We'll have to watch this closely. If it is a closed low, it likely will move slower, but either way, it's close enough to the point where this will not be moving very fast. This is by Tuesday afternoon into the evening. It's going to be located over Louisiana, and eventually, as we get closer to Wednesday, this will be over into Florida, where there is going to be likely some heavy rainfall out of that. And eventually, as we go into Thursday, Friday, into Saturday, things start to clear out a bit. But as we go into Saturday, this is also when things could easily get very interesting across the United States, because we could be watching not just for one, one, but two storms, one of which will be back up possibly in like the upper Midwest. This one looks a little bit more irrelevant to us at this point. It might bring some rainfall, maybe some snow, but I don't expect anything crazy out of that. This would be more interesting. This could actually become a closed low, and as well as maybe a cutoff low. So there's two differences there. I'll talk about more details on that in our next forecast if this does start to come more to fruition. But one thing that's going to be important to watch with this would be the threat for severe weather, especially if we get a cutoff low. Right now it looks like a closed low for the most part, and as this moves over into Monday into Tuesday of the following week, so closer to the 20th of November, we could be watching for a pretty big storm here in the United States. But I want you to keep in mind, we are still over 7 days out. Things are bound to change. No reason to panic by any means, but it is definitely something to watch for over the long term, and I'll show you what it looks like here on the future radar in just a second. Now let's talk again about the future radar over the next several days, and I do want to point out a couple of features that you might have not noticed on the jet stream, because the jet stream versus the surface, it's a little bit different of a story, but we do have that little clipper system again back over in the upper Midwest. Very light precipitation overall. High pressure system dominating in the Northeast United States. That'll sit there for at least Sunday. Once we go to Monday into Tuesday, notice this little system that I just mentioned on the jet stream. This is what could bring some heavy rainfall to the Gulf Coast. By the way, very, very, very beneficial rainfall for those in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, where there is a drought ongoing. This will be something interesting to watch for, though. It's not going to be a tropical storm by any means. It probably won't, at least. But this will be moving off to the east toward Florida, bring some heavy rainfall, and this will continue to dump rain as we go into Tuesday, into Wednesday, eventually into Thursday. It's over Florida, which they also need rainfall, and eventually by Friday into Saturday, that moves off the coast, and then we're watching for a couple of different disturbances. This is by Friday morning. There is a chance for a storm that'll be located back up in Canada that might extend back over into the Midwest, bringing some beneficial rainfall there as well. Don't really foresee a ton of snow out of this at this point, unless the system is much further down to the south, like here, for example. It's likely going to be located up here more than anything, at least based at the surface. Once we go to Saturday and to Sunday, though, watch this area closely. This is what I kind of mentioned here a few minutes ago. There is a chance that we get some sort of severe weather event going as we go into next weekend. And again, we are in the second severe weather season, so something like this is not uncommon by any means. It's actually rare that we've not seen any really major severe weather events at all in the last 2 months. It's been very, very quiet, which again, knock on wood, hopefully it stays like that, but this definitely could be the potential system that could break that little trend that we've had. Also, something to watch for is if this does end up happening as we go into the following week, if this trough moves off to the east, we could be watching for some sort of tornado risk in the Dixie Alley. But again, I want to really emphasize this. We are still multiple days out. I mean, again, we're talking about 7, 8, 9 days from now. Things could easily change, so stay tuned. We'll keep you posted with the latest, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do want to mention that there is going to be a tornado potential. It looks low at this time going into Tuesday of this upcoming week, so this would be around the 14th. We do have a low-level jet associated with this low-pressure system going into Tuesday, so there might be enough spin near the Gulf Coast for perhaps an isolated tornado, maybe even some waterspout activity right off the coast. So keep this in mind. Again, I don't think this will be anything more than a marginal threat of a tornado risk going into Tuesday. We might even see this extend into Wednesday in parts of Florida. Florida is known to see more tornadoes during an El Nino winter, so keep that in mind as well if you're in Florida. But that will obviously be something to watch for as well going into Wednesday. And just a heads up, we released our Max Velocity Pom Pom Beanie on shopmaxvelocity.net. The link will be at the top of the description. Make sure to check it out. It is 10% off for a limited time, so make sure to check it out at shopmaxvelocity.net. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the button down below and subscribe if you're not already.